hopefully it won't change that much of what we do. I think like right now I just do a lot of scouting, and I've been doing it with in mind of the NBA roster, whereas now it's just a little bit different. You know, I might go to a game looking at all the guys that we're looking at in the draft, but then there's all those other guys in the game that I'll just make notes of and kind of remember for potential D-League guys, like guys that maybe are right on the cusp, like maybe they're playing out of position in college, and you know, if we just move them from a 4 to a 3, like, do they have a chance to be something different? And so just kind of little things like that, and you just kind of, you approach scouting in a little bit different of a way, but it's not going to be much different. And then it's just a matter of trying to, you know, assemble the guys and get them up to Mississauga and just kind of roll from there.
Specifically for year 1 with Raptors 905, the model reading the press release, you're in charge of drafting, scouting, so on and so forth. So how do you, because I'm not familiar with the D-League draft, how do you go about securing this roster ahead of the season?
There's a number of different ways of different types of players that you can build a roster with, and the biggest thing is of the other D-League teams is the returning players, and seeing that we're a new franchise, we don't have any of that. So the first step is going to be an expansion draft, and all the teams will submit a list of guys that they don't want to save the rights for, their returning rights on, and then we get to pick out of those guys who will be considered our returning players. From there, we'll have like a small roster kind of going into training camp, and then we'll also be able to hold tryouts in the Toronto area. It'll be open to the public, and you know, we'll see what kind of guys we can pull from that. And then the third one would be guys that we can invite to our training camp with the Raptors who don't make the team. If we waive them and retain their rights as an affiliate player for the D-League, we get to add them to our roster that way. And then another way is if we draft somebody in the NBA draft and they don't come to the NBA right away, we retain their NBA draft rights. They can play on our D-League team that way. And then finally the D-League draft, and that's kind of the all those players that I mentioned, like the guys who don't qualify for that but sign a contract with the D-League, they go into the talent pool. And then from there, there's a 8-round draft that we'll just be able to pick guys from and just build a roster that way.
Now, a huge part of the mandate for this team, for the Toronto Raptors, is Bruno Caboclo, DeAndre Daniels, Bebe. So how do you fit them into your scheme and plan as you look ahead?
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head with Bruno and Bebe. Like they're the two guys that I don't want to say were the inspiration for the D-League, but it was like, okay, like we really need to look into getting our own team to really make sure those two guys who are on our main roster, not getting a lot of time, they'll have some place where if this next year, if the minutes aren't there again, they have somewhere where they can go and play and really get the repetitions up, because that's the best way for players to develop. And I think that it'll just be our goal with the D-League to get them kind of going back and forth between the main roster and the D-League roster to, you know, just get as many reps as possible. And anytime they can practice with our main team and play in a game with the D-League, I mean, that's the goal right there.
This is Canada's team, the Toronto Raptors, so I imagine you guys, when developing this Raptors 905 vision, we're hoping to keep some of the Canadian pool of talent here.
I think that's part of the hope, is that, I mean, we've seen a number of players coming from the NCAA, you know, draft or undrafted players who are from Canada, and they're kind of on that D-League radar already, and it's the type of thing where any chance we have to get a player who we think has the talent to maybe be a Raptor one day and also is from the Toronto or just Canada in general, I mean, yeah, we'll definitely try to keep those guys on the roster and, you know, make it as much of a hometown feel as we can for those guys, because I think a big thing with the D-League is, you know, making it somewhat of a good event for the fans as well. And I think if we get hometown guys playing, like that would be a good draw for just people from the area to come and root for their guys.
Lastly, Jesse Mermis is announced as the head coach of Raptors 905. Your take on the challenge that lies ahead of him after coming off of this second summer league?
I mean, I think this is going to be such a great opportunity for him. You know, just like it is for me. I think as the head coach, he's got a chance to really kind of shape a a roster the way that he wants to use them and play with them, and like he'll call all the shots when it comes to on the court stuff. And as far as a guy who's one day going to be an NBA head coach, like that's like no better experience than just to like get out there and learn how to, you know, do the game plan and like really take a team under his wing and just like really do what he wants to do with it. I think there's so much you can learn as an assistant in the NBA. Like to be able to get that head coach experience, like I think that's invaluable for him.